I'm Ian Delamore, and this is Digital and Dirt. All right, welcome back, guys. We are in the garage studio again here locally in Baton Rouge, which I'm excited about. So today, special guest here, walk through his fun facts with you. He actually has his auctioning license. We're going to get you to do your chant in a second. He was on Shark Tank, and Mark Cuban invested in his company, previous company. He's into old cars and the outdoors. His first clothing factory was in a skating rink, which I love these humbling stories, which we'll dive deep into. The founder and CEO of Pearce Bespoke Franchising, Nathan Pearce. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
You
Great
look
to meet
sharp,
you.
man.
Thank you.
Normally, I'm not going to lie, I'm normally the sharpest person in the room, but today, by far, outspoken here by what a good-looking guy here. So let's dive deep into it. Shark Tank.
Yeah, so it was my early days. Started my first clothing company right out of college. Started it with a baseball teammate of mine, actually, and quit the baseball team at Millsaps in Jackson, Mississippi, and played football there as well for Coach Mike DeBose, who used to coach at Alabama. And quit sports, had an idea for a t-shirt concept, and me and a baseball teammate both started this thing up with $2,000, and it was just an absolute rocket ship.
That's amazing. Yeah, and as we prepped for this a couple weeks back, so we're both Baton Rouge based, and I've never met you before. I've heard about you, and we'll go deeper into that in a good bit, but a lot of parallels. I played basketball at Louisiana College. You obviously went to Millsaps, which was Mississippi, which was a competing small school. So I can understand, having gone to a small school, that you would want to venture off and do something other than sports and hang out into the small town. But there's a lot of depth to you. But I do have to point out the fact that it's storming out here today when we're recording. And, you know, I'm a sneakerhead, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And you get out of the truck in a three-piece suit, which I love. So the outdoors, the blend between someone that loves clothing but also loves the outdoors is something that's very unique, but also very Louisiana.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think part of it boils down to the family that I grew up in. So both my parents are entrepreneurs. My dad owns a pretty large auction company in Birmingham, Alabama. And my dad told me that when I graduated, I could do anything I wanted in life. But until that day happened, I was going to be an auctioneer. So at 12 years old, my dad shipped me to auction school in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was there with a bunch of full-grown men, businessmen, and I learned auction chant for 2 weeks, how to sell property, how to sell muscle cars, and that's what I did. Me and my brother both. Our entire childhood was growing up learning how to auction.
Side note, have you ever been to Barrett-Jackson, the car show?
Yes, we know him well, actually.
Oh, nice. Wait, so how does one get into auctioneer school? And like, what is the progression? And can you do a chant, or has it been a minute?
I can. It's been a minute. I can do it. I'm at 25, but I get 5, but I get 5, but I get 35, but I get 40, but I get 50. So
that's amazing.
It's been a while for me. My whole family's still in the auction business, by the way. I'm the only one in the family that did not go into the auction business.
How dare you?
And yeah, it was a pretty tough phone call, to be honest with you. So I graduated, didn't tell my dad I started a t-shirt company. In fact, he was prepping for me to come home, and he called me one day and he goes, "All right, when are you coming home?" And I said, "I'm not coming home." And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I started a t-shirt company." And like any dad would do, he's like, "That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life." And a couple weeks later, he came to my graduation and he was like, "All right, tell me about your t-shirt company." And I said, "Well, we hit $1 million in sales this week." And he was like, "Okay, go get it." And we never looked back.
That's amazing. So what was it? I love fashion, which is why I'm glad that we have this, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. What was it about fashion that drew you? If you were a football, baseball guy, was it something at an early age that kind of drew you to the t-shirt side of the world, or the fashion world?
So it's funny. It was like a twofold. I was known for always dressing up a little bit more than most people that were in my class, most people that I was around growing up. I was kind of known for that. But I think the second part to that was there was a need and a void, and I filled it. And the void was I used to make t-shirts for sorority parties.
Okay.
And we were making a lot of money, a lot of money doing it. They had a lot of parties, and they were paying a lot of money for the t-shirts. And that kind of spun into this concept of, we had a sorority one day that came to us and they were like, "Can you put this pocket on this green shirt?" And we were like, "Yeah." And they handed me like a $10,000 check. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we can do that. No problem." And I got back and they didn't have that as an option. So we hired a fraternity brother to cut up extra shirts, fold them, crease them, turn them into pocket tees. And we made it for him, and I wasn't giving that check back.
Right.
So we produced it in our little rental house, and that started this contrasting pocket t-shirt concept that took the campuses by storm.
So was that the same company for Shark Tank?
It was called Fraternity Collection. And by the time I graduated, we were on every college campus in the country.
No kidding. So how was that experience on Shark Tank? I had a similar friend that was on Shark Tank, and it didn't go as great. We won't mention the company or name.
Look, from the forward-facing side, ours was amazing, right? Like it was the coolest moment ever. I got to meet my idols.
Yep.
Well, we were pitching for an hour straight with cameras swinging in front of our faces in this giant warehouse with the voice filming next to us.
Sure.
But we got to meet our idols, and then we walked away with a verbal agreement for the guy that we wanted. And ours didn't end so well either, by the way. But we got the exact offer that we were looking for the exact amount of equity. And what was the coolest part of that whole story? My brand was so popular. I don't even think I realized how popular it was. We had makeup trailers for Shark Tank.
Okay.
And after the pitch, we secured our deal, went back to the makeup trailer, and I got a phone call from VIP of ABC. And they were like, hey, we have some guests that want to come see you. I'm like, well, send them on. Well, it was the Sharks presidents and their kids, like the Sharks kids, that all owned our t-shirts.
No kidding.
And they wanted to meet us because they loved our t-shirt concept.
So you sell the brand. What's next for you?
Yeah. So before I sold it, I started a factory.
That's the skating rink?
And that was the skating rink.
Amazing. Did you side skate on the side in between?
They left all the skates. They left all the disco lights, the fog machines, and it was just a big warehouse. And it was inexpensive in a little small town called Tylertown. And we ended up taking over the skating rink, building out our factory inside of it. And we had about 150 employees that worked out of that factory. But we needed demand for the t-shirt concept. We couldn't keep up with the production. We hired these old ladies on Craigslist, and we outgrew them very quick as our sales grew.
Wait, like actual old ladies that
went on Craigslist. We didn't know how to sew ourselves. We were growing fast, and we went on Craigslist, found a bunch of old ladies that already owned sewing machines, rented in an office in an apartment, bought a conference table from the thrift store, and every day they would sew around this conference table pocket tees.
Wait, fly on the wall. I'd love to hear these old lady stories. That's been amazing.
The saddest day ever was me telling them I bought a factory and that we had to scale up. Yep. We couldn't keep up with orders. We were like 3 months behind.
So that's having known a lot of people in this space. I think I shared it with you. My wife for 9 years owned a very high-end women's clothing boutique here in town, and carried the massive brands, and having to get to tour a few factories. I invested in a denim company as well.
Okay.
That owned the last American denim factory in the U.S. in Tennessee.
Okay.
And touch on that a bit, like the nostalgic side. I think people oftentimes when you're at a very high level and you're walking through the store itself, it's just kind of like, what's my favorite shirt? What's my favorite jacket, et cetera. But what went into it and why people are more nostalgic and going back to saving these factories, because, in certain situations now it's the town.
Yeah.
And the town went under when these factories
for sure
went out of business.
It was very similar for us, and it was a pretty cool story. Our business was booming. We knew we needed help with production. We found on like the 50th page of Google, when we were Googling manufacturing near us, that there was this old town where LL Bean used to make all their products. And we went and visited. We just got in the truck from Jackson, Mississippi, and drove to it. And when we pulled up, they were making postal service uniforms.
Oh, wow.
And contract government uniforms. And we went to the guy and we were like, listen, here's what we need. And he was laughing. He was like, all you need is to take this pocket and sew it on this shirt. And we were like, yeah, what's the price? And we kind of got into this hilarious negotiation of like, we were going to pay like $7 a pocket. And the guy's like, okay, I guess we'll do it for a quarter. And we were like, dude, deal. Like, holy crap. And we shook his hand, and he was about to throw up because he realized we were going to pay whatever it took. And long story short, a year later, we bought that whole factory. And then we ended up putting the old LL Bean workers back to work again, scaling it up. What started with t-shirts, we got into polos. One of my sewers came to me one day and she was like, we used to make the polos for LL Bean. And I was like,
you saw the templates in the back.
And then we ended up buying the equipment and started polos. And then the same lady came to me a year later and she was like, we used to make men's dress shirts, like the flannel dress shirts for LL Bean. And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And then
did you ever suspect this woman maybe just owned all the equipment on the side? I was just trying to make a profit.
She was the manager. Like she was our manager of all of our sewers. And she was also the supervisor for LL Bean's manufacturing plant.
That's huge.
She just kept coming to us with new ideas.
So when is the transition from, and I don't want to call t-shirts and polos very basic, but it is.
It's a volume based.
Yeah.
So the transition really happened. We started making dress shirts and we found a void because there were only like 3 woven shirt factories left in the US.
It's wild.
As we were building ours. And there's a lot of reasons for that, by the way.
Sure.
One of them is the equipment's hard to get.
Yep.
Mechanics to fix the equipment is almost impossible to find. When NAFTA came in, all these guys moved on. Getting the tools to fix them, like everything was a problem. And then we'd already hired everyone in the town. We grew so fast. And then what do you do after that? So we started having capacity issues. But we were in about 1,000 retail stores when I sold out of that company.
Okay.
And it was pretty substantial. The transition happened. I sold it back to some investors. I got a phone call one day. This old school traveling tailor from New York City called me and he was like, hey, I used to be one of your retailers. I'm a traveling tailor. This guy's like 80. And he was like, I'm calling to see what you're going to do next. You used to make dress shirts for me and I would pair them with my suits.
Ah, nice.
And I'm like, I'm going to start another clothing brand. And he said, you should get into the suiting business. I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about suits. I'm not getting in the suiting business. And he said, well, I'll teach it to you if you want to learn it. And I spent 3 months traveling the country with this traveling tailor. And I would watch him measure people, lay out fabrics like we have here, guide people through the custom clothes buying process. And I freaking fell in love with it.
So what was it? Was it the materials? Like I'm looking across this table, I'm thinking about when my wife owned her boutique and it was just the coolness of like, I can visually put all this together, but you had to have a creative mindset that you just didn't realize.
I think that what he did that blew me away was he was very good at customer service, but second, he was building clothes for the people. He wasn't building them based on his style preferences.
Right.
And it was something that I really took away because I was used to buying suits and custom clothing, but when I would buy it, there would be these old school tailors trying to sell me what they like and the fit that they like. And you might have run into this.
Yeah.
And I'm going, dude, I don't want my clothes to fit like you. I want a modern fit. I want this. And they would tell me, no, that's not how you're supposed to wear it. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm paying you for this.
Right.
That old man sold very differently than I'd ever seen before. And it was him asking them questions and then helping build wardrobes based on their preferences versus the other way around. And it resonated with me.
When did and you maybe know this exact date, but when was the modernization of the suit that is today that folks like you and I wear, as opposed to, I hated this. I was at Mass the other day and I knew you were coming on and I was like, dude, it looks like you're like have drapes at the bottom of your pants. But again, that's like a lot of our clients, CPG clients that we've had. It's like, it's a generational thing that I use product XYZ because my grandmother used it, my mom used it, now I intuitively use it.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of people fell in line as well. You and I probably at a younger age.
Yep.
When you bought your first suit, you were like, well, that's how dad wore it. That's how, dad's best friend wore it. When was that and what occurred? It may be actually a history lesson here for me.
Yeah. So like the big thing with the updated suiting garments in terms of fit and style details that you and I like was, you're talking like 15 years ago, 14 or 15 years ago. It wasn't that long ago when people really started wearing more of that modern tailoring garment, where it's a little bit more tapered, a little bit more form fitting. And look, there's still trends, right? It ebbs and flows. Right now it's coming back to where people are starting to do that wider leg again.
Hard pass for me.
Bigger fit on the jacket with a bigger drape. It's a hard pass for me as well. My personal taste has kind of become taking old school details, bringing them back into a modern fit. Double-breasted is huge right now, as long as it fits well. But what's funny about that is, kind of back to me making clothes fit the way that people want them to. And we'll probably touch on this in a second, but it's now a franchise. So we have 82 franchises across the United States. I franchised it about 3 years ago after having a lot of success in Baton Rouge. The joke was actually if I could sell suits in the swamps of Louisiana, then anybody could sell suits anywhere. And this was the toughest climate. So I had to prove it here first. Now we have 82 locations and I had to decide when I franchised it, who do we want to be? Did we want to be the Nathan Pearce brand with the things that I like, modern fit, old school details? Or were we going to be to the masses with a franchise company, bringing in owners from different walks of life and let them sell to their customer base? And we had to decide to go with a franchise system.
And I want to dive deeper into the decision on the franchise, but what an exciting part of what you do, right? Because you're helping create trends, but you're more or less just putting in the hands of the consumer and your clients to say like, hey, let me give you a history lesson. Like, here's double-breasted. This is what this is.
Yep.
And you having the wherewithal not to be so egotistical about, well, that's you would never put this and this with a suit together, but just kind of say like, you're helping set the trends. So my question is more around like the identity of a consumer.
Yeah.
Like you saw me walk in, like everyone that knows me personally, funny side story, I spoke at a conference and I rolled out and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wear sneakers. And literally before I went on stage a couple hours before, a guy looked at me. He's like, hey man, why? And I didn't even know who this guy was. He was like, why are you wearing dress shoes? And I literally went back upstairs because the identity of me is unique blazer, white button up, denim, and whatever, sneakers that I've found on GOAT or Nike drops that I'm lucky to get. You're now helping that consumer create their own identity.
Yep, 100%. And I think a lot of it has to do with, my bet was social media and the internet's changed the way that we buy. Not just in terms of how we place the order, but in terms of what we like. And people these days, a lot more so than 50 years ago, know what they like.
Yep.
And they know what they like because it's being curated through social media. What you like on Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok, you get more of the algorithms, right? So people have started kind of building their following based on that and who they follow, and it helps them build their style preferences. So what happens now is, in fact, I just had a meeting yesterday with Whit Weeks and Landry Kiffin, and they come in with ideas of things that they want to build already. And my job isn't to tell them what I like. My job is to go, no problem. Let's look at some fabrics. Sure. Do you like the way this jacket's cut, or would you change that? A lot of times I'll tell them, wear your favorite suit to the fitting. I want to see how you like your clothes to fit. Because if you tell me you like a slim fit, well, LeBron James liking slim fit, and you tell me you like slim fit, it's just a word. Right. But if you wear it, I can tell and I can curate based on that.
And I love what you're doing because, and respectfully, like women have always been able to, at a high dress level, they've got to be unique about things. And I've seen this trend over the last 15 or so years, which kind of makes sense, where blazers no longer have to be, navy black, tan, gray. They get to be very complex in the fabrics that you're using. So now it allows that brand identity to be a little bit different.
For sure. And when you're a franchise system, it's not just the franchisee for us that's selling clothes. So we have two models. The franchisee can sell their owner-operator model, but we also have a semi-absentee model where they hire sales reps called clothiers that go sell.
Okay.
Well, for us, we want to dominate an entire market. Well, you can't just sell to me and you. Right. There's other communities out there that would also wear custom clothes that aren't built like mannequins that need custom clothes or want custom clothes. Well, in order to sell them, you got to tap into their community. So what we teach franchise owners is bring in someone from the LGBTQ community, bring in someone that's black, bring in someone that's Asian. Like if you want to tap into each of these markets and communities, the best way to do it is to have a team around you that doesn't just wear what you wear. They wear different clothes and different styles, and that's a franchise.
Yeah, and we as humans, we're very tribal. So if we have our pentacle people within the community where it's like, hey, this person, I associate them with this, I associate this person with fashion, then in essence, these franchisees start to bring your brand, but in uniquely within the community themselves.
100%.
So you may sell a purple and gold jacket with purple buttons and whatever it may be. Now you may get, I use Kim Mulkey as an example. Like everyone loves to wear sparkly jackets here during basketball season for women because of Mulkey, right? So now you're creating these. So how do you go about selecting? Because again, this is your baby. How do you go out about selecting franchisees? I mean, obviously everyone wants to be soudier. Is that what you call them? Clothier.
So it's a great question. We have two criteria. The first criteria is, do they look the part? And that doesn't mean you have to be a model. It means you have to look like you would own a custom clothing company. So your upkeep, the way that you dress, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you groom, it's the look, right? And my joke is Farmer Joe could be the greatest salesman of all time. But if he shows up in overalls trying to sell suits, he's not going to get very far.
Sure.
So the first part, I call it look the part. The second thing that we look for is something that we can't teach. Like we're a franchise system. We can teach people how to measure. We can teach people how to sell, upsell, cross-sell. We can teach people how to prospect and how to run an event. We can't teach hunger, motivation, drive. That's the second component. And if you have those two things, the rest of it, you're going to be a rock star. But if you're missing one or the two ingredients, you're doomed. It'll never work. And it doesn't do me any good to sell anybody a franchise that isn't going to be successful.
Yeah, and you when you're going about this, so since our world is all about advertising, you're basically a billboard in a suit, per se. So it is important that that person within the community, it's interesting being in Baton Rouge because I have a handful of friends that I'm now going to introduce to you, but it's like, hey, XYZ guy comes through every 6 months.
Yes.
So you're now creating this local version to where it's like, why do you have to wait for 6 months for this guy to go overseas and produce
Or
something?
what happens when your clothes don't fit and the guy leaves?
Yeah, correct.
Right? You got two choices. You're going to ship it back to him, which isn't going to happen.
Yep.
Or you're going to have to go figure it out yourself.
Right.
You're going to go find an alteration shop. You're going to get it adjusted. We solve both of those problems. And we've got a relationship with your clothier
Right.
that you can rely on. So a few things that we do different that we haven't touched on. Number one, we're all mobile. We don't have retail stores. We go to our clients' offices. We go to co-working spaces. We just try to make it super convenient.
We go to podcasts.
Try to make it convenient for our client.
Sure.
Right. The second thing we do is we have perfect fit guarantees and free alterations for life. So like people lose weight, gain weight, it fluctuates. And you just text your clothier, they come, they pick it up, they make it convenient, they alter it, they bring it back to you. And then we save those tweaks in the system so that when you place your next order, it's coming in dialed.
Perfect. And you have the data around it.
It's all
You
safe.
can also see what are the trends that this person likes, different seasonality.
Favorite carts, right? Things that you might not pick out today, but you save it for the next time. And then it's just a game of follow up. But our goal is to be out in the community meeting people before you have the chance to go shopping at a retail store.
It's amazing. And so touch on a little bit more. The experience is important, but the experience is the materials.
Yeah.
So how do you stay ahead of trends? So we touched on that, the cut, the style, but how do you stay ahead of trends and patterns and everything to a world where anything is acceptable?
Yeah, 100%. So what we do a little bit differently is we don't jump too heavily into the specific trends to answer your question.
Okay.
What we do is we stick with the classics that will never go out of style. And by that, I mean trying to stick with all natural fibers, wools, silks, cottons, cashmere, things that we know aren't going to go out of style. They'll stand the test of time. They're great quality. They're still moisture wicking if you get the right weight. But we stick with the classics. Now, you can build the fit how you want, but we've got 10,000 fabrics to choose from. I've never been in a fitting and someone goes, you don't really have what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
There's just too many options. Now, the opposite, and you kind of were leaning on this earlier. I don't know if you were kind of getting at this question, but how do you sit in this fitting and not get overwhelmed?
Sure. Yep.
Right? So the way we do that is just by asking some questions. It's me getting to know the client, and it's, what do you do for a living? Are you an attorney? Or are you a business owner? Are you blue collar, white collar? Some of those answers is going to tell me what to show you. What's your budget? Like, are you looking for sport coats and trousers? Are you looking for 3-piece suits, tuxedos? That's going to tell me what fabrics to show you.
Yep.
Are you going to Italy on a vacation, or are you going to a funeral? Probably two very different selections.
Sure. Yep.
But the series of 5 or 6 questions is going to steer me into what to show you without you getting overwhelmed.
Now, from a franchisee perspective, is this a training that you have to? Yeah. So touch on that a bit. How do you onboard people once they're not show up in overalls and
It is funny. Like
well.
our initial in-person training, it's funny to see what people wear.
Sure.
Like we have a dress code, but they don't have our clothes yet.
Yeah.
So they're coming in the best thing that they
do you
have.
super judge? Like, I'm not going to lie. When I walked in here, I was like, I know I have some amazing blazers and you were probably just picking it apart.
No, I don't. I don't pick it apart. What I do is I just compliment everybody for the effort.
Okay.
I don't say I appreciate your effort. I say, I like
Appreciate
that
your
jacket, man. I like that suit. Where'd you get it?
Trying to recall what the tone was when I walked in here.
But to answer your question, we have 2 types of training. We have a digital training that's required for everybody to go through.
Okay.
That's terminology, how to measure, how your clothes should fit. It's video and words. People learn differently. That's on people's pace. They take it for about a week and a half. Then we also have an in-person training every single month. Our franchisees and our clothiers come to Baton Rouge, actually. We work in City Club. We rent out rooms at City Club. They come in and we do all the in-person boot camp stuff that you can't do digitally. So that's touch the fabrics, feel the fabrics, go over them, the seasonalities of them, practice measuring until it's perfected, go over how your clothes should fit. That's all the in-person boot camp stuff that we run with them.
Yeah, that's massive. But again, it's something that you've owned. It's not a templated per se experience. It's their job is to know the materials, know the fabrics, know the suit types, and then they go make it their own.
Yep.
Which makes it very unique for you. And I'm assuming that's the scalable side of things.
It is 100%. For me, so I mostly I'm the CEO and founder of the franchise company. So my job is to protect the culture, make sure we're scaling that business, we're bringing the right people onto the leadership team. And then I still do mostly VIP fittings. So that kind of helps boost the brand. And would all these famous people be wearing our clothes if it weren't great quality, great service, great price points, and making it convenience for people?
Yeah. And so before we go into some of the major famous influencers, we're going to touch on the influencer economy in a moment. But one of the things immediately when our producer Faith shared, because I was like, who is this guy? I don't know who he is. Side note, I got a lot of side texts from people that said, hey, I heard you're going to have Nathan on. Really cool guy. A lot of LSU former athletes and alumni. So it kind of fits. But the most unique thing that I found outside of all the great work you're doing is for good measure.
Yeah.
So touch on that. Again, a lot of people just set the stage. A lot of companies, whether they're startups or massive companies, they just pick a brand and they get behind it, a good cause just to do it. But yours is unnecessary, but it's super unique and amazing.
Yeah, I
which
appreciate
I was very
that.
touched by. That was
it's probably the thing that I'm most proud of in the entire company. Behind culture, like this is probably first and foremost. It's called For Good Measure. It's our charity campaign that I'm really passionate about. We every single month collect nominations through our website and through social media. And it's people that are in the military and they're coming back and they're trying to get reacclimated to business life, right? They might have to go to a job interview. It's someone that's homeless and they have great intentions and they're good people and they just have the wrong circumstances and they need to try to get a job or just get a confidence boost. A teacher that would never be able to afford any custom clothing, but they do good things for the community. We just look for nominees, and what we do is we give them custom clothing packages, measure them up, full experience, something that they would never have on their own, and then we deliver it, make sure it fits it the way that they want, and hopefully can change their lives. And we truly believe that custom clothing changes people's lives. Like a little bit of confidence goes such a long way. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. I don't know if you remember that movie, but homeless guy, not homeless, but basically became homeless during the show, out on his luck, but a brilliant mind. And I remember that moment. It gives me goosebumps. It's the only movie I've ever cried to. Most men cry to Rudy. This one I cried because this guy just needed a shot. And he had that one suit that he wore every day. And he landed that internship because, you know, the story of the movie, and those who have seen it, if you haven't, go see it. But more or less the CEO of this financial investment firm, I would assume, thinks the guy, the character Will Smith plays, is a parking guy. Yeah. And he was like, hey, here you go, leaves it to him. And that blossoms into an internship, and the one thing you touched on, which gives me goosebumps about For Good Measure, is a suit makes a man.
Yeah.
And as corny as that sounds, and I know it's very passionate to you, but it truly differentiates someone that walks into a room that may be down out on his luck. Maybe he gave back to his country. And I saw one of the gentlemen was in a wheelchair. Yeah. You walk in a room with a suit compared to you walk in a room with t-shirt and some holy, jeans. It makes
the whole situation
how
changes.
People. So touch on that, why that feels so good for you. And maybe you call out a couple of the guys that you've done For Good Measure for.
Yeah. So some of them were a guy that, he's become a close friend of mine. A guy named George works at the casino down the street, at LeBear's Casino, and he's in IT. And I heard from a good friend of mine that he lost everything in a house fire. Everything, like his brother's ashes, his clothes, had nothing left. And the casino pulled some money together to get him by, to get him a new place, which was also touching. And we got to hear a lot of that in the story. But for him, he also has a very hard time finding clothes off the rack that fit him the right way. He's a bigger build. So what we did is we gave him a whole suit package. He picked out a few sport coats, trousers, shirts, all custom, and we delivered it just in time for their award ceremony at the casino. Oh, awesome. And he actually won an award, and I got all the photos and videos from all of his employees and coworkers just complimenting him and telling him how amazing he looked. And I think for him, it was just freaking life-changing. Yeah. So that was a great story. We had a high school basketball coach in Lafayette that was homeless for a while. He was living in his car, still coaching this private school basketball team, and they ended up winning a state championship. But he just loved fashion, and he would never be able to buy this on his own. So we ended up hooking him up with some custom suits, and oh my God, they came out amazing, smiling ear to ear when we delivered them. And I think his kids were pretty pumped on the team for him to be nominated. But there's a couple of stories, but man, we could go on and on for forever. What we're looking for is more nominees. Like, How can we give more people more clothes and change more lives?
Yeah. And again, it seems very, well, clothing shouldn't make a man, but I think what a lot of people don't realize is when a man has, stature, has that opportunity, or even given that moment and chance, it can be a crisp white shirt and a pocket square.
Yep.
That catches someone's eye. And again, back to your earlier point, I talk about this all the time. Like when I'm interviewing, oftentimes it is like how that person presents themselves.
Yep.
Not just necessarily how they dress, but a lot of that comes from, how you take care of yourself equals how you're going to take care of your work, your job, who you are as a human, and it becomes more accountable. And just to be able to give someone a pop of color or something a little bit unique,
100%.
Yeah, you stand out.
I think too, the other side of it is when you're confident, you talk better, you pitch better, you sell better, you walk taller, and everyone around you can tell.
Yep.
And I do think, to your point, that's what custom clothing that fits you the right way does for you. I also heard a long time ago, do you know why people don't like to wear suits? We don't just do suits. We do sport coats, trousers, shirts, polos, everything. But do you know why people don't like to wear suits? Because they don't fit the right way.
Yep.
Like, think about, it was a dad that handed down his suit to his son. And he's like, I hate wearing suits. I hear it all the time. I hate wearing suits. I don't wear suits anymore. I'm like, well, you haven't had the right one. Mm-hmm. Because my clients, where their clothes fit, they love wearing their suits. And it makes you feel better.
Yeah, it's powerful. So speaking of, the influence that people have, the way that they dress, the movie example, this great casino guy that you'd mentioned, the influencer economy has become this massive part of who we are as a society, good or bad.
Yeah.
You guys fit right into the alley, right? Because I can't imagine a TikTok reel or an Instagram feed where you don't see someone bragging about their fit and all these great things. I know when I go on stage, I have it preset what I'm going to wear based off of the event. I know how I'm going to dress. Touch on that a bit before we dive into the celebrity side, but just the impact that social has on your brand, but also the brand identity of these influencers. And everyone's an influencer. I would argue that you don't have to be 1 million followers or 300 followers. You're your own influencer.
What I'll tell you is, and you touched on this earlier, and it kind of feeds into this, is as a franchise owner and as a clothier, you are the brand. And people will decide instantly if they're going to buy from you or not based on what you have on. And you're a billboard everywhere you go. So that's literally the first step in being a part of this company, is looking the part, because they're going to decide instantly. What coincides with that, though, is we do fit a lot of celebrities. We have a lot of influence on social media. Some of them are more private, but I can't tell you how many people that are VIP clients and celebrity clients, I was their first custom clothing experience.
Wild.
Which blows my mind, because some of them are tall. Some of them are athletic builds and they don't fit in off the rack clothing. And I think that's where that impact of me making clothes for the first time for some of these people, that's why I've become their go-to tailor, is because of the feeling that they got when I made their clothes. From a social media perspective, I mean, it's an absolute game changer. We get a lot of influencers that are wearing our clothes that are going on to do bigger and better things. But a lot of those opportunities, I would argue, stemmed from the fact that they looked the part when they were in the room with the people that wanted to invest in them. I have a couple of new influencers that I'm working with right now that are super young. They're just now getting custom clothing for the first time. And now they're going off into new ventures. And their new thing is, I want to be in a suit every single day. Because of the opportunities that are coming in front of them.
So before we get into the athletes, because I'm a big NBA guy, and my favorite thing in the world is the NBA draft. And what those guys walk in. I know we're going to touch on a few NFL guys, LSU guys as well. But one of the most unique and interesting humans in the United States, at least and beyond, you mentioned very tall, Barron Trump. So A, how tall is this kid? And B, how did this even come about?
So he's 6'9".
Wow.
And it came about through a referral. And the funniest thing about this to me is, I tell all my franchise owners, if you take care of your clients, they'll take care of you. And it just means going above and beyond with customer service and support and checking in, not just trying to constantly sell them new stuff, but checking on them and making sure that they're happy. He was a referral. There was a business influencer that has a house here in Baton Rouge named Justin Waller, and I've been making his clothes for a while. And he called me one day and he goes, "What are you doing tomorrow? I need you in Palm Beach." And I'm like, I'm busy tomorrow. What's in Palm Beach? And he goes, you know what's in Palm Beach. And he hung up. And then I got a text that said, hey, I need your passport, your social security number.
Your retinal scan.
For security clearance. And I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Wait, did you think it was President Trump first?
No, it came to light pretty quick that
Okay.
Barron was in town, and that's who I was going to
Okay.
see. But he's become a close friend of mine. I've been making his clothes ever since inauguration, election day. He was wearing Pearce Bespoke head to toe. And now I do casual wear for him, and he's become a close friend of mine. But spent the whole day with him, got to know him. Awesome kid, super smart, and just one of the coolest experiences of all time.
So athletes,
Yeah.
and I know we're in the mecca of college sports, the mecca of NIL here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but someone that everyone knows beyond just LSU, but now the Commanders.
Yeah.
So touch on who I'm going into.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels was a really cool one for us. So when he first got to LSU, we were making his suits for every home game. And what I got the call from his mom and was like, hey, it's looking like he's going to get nominated to have an opportunity to go to New York for the Heisman. And we were wondering if you'd like to make his suit. And again, I think it goes back to we took care of him every home game and made sure it fit the way that he wanted and went above and beyond for us to get that phone call. There was a lot of groundwork that was laid, but I was like, we'd be honored. So got to go measure him, pick out the 3-piece heathered gray suit that he wore on stage with the custom liner. We decided with the liner during the Florida game, he hit the Heisman pose coming off the field. So we grabbed that photo and we replicated it on the inside liner, and it was his Heisman moment is what we called it. And that was that kind of kicked off a lot of the athletes that we ended up working with long term.
Another big guy, literal big, Will Campbell. Wait, side note, I don't get the giant turtleneck with the suit. help me understand. Maybe I have a normal sized neck that I don't need the extra.
You know, it's funny. It was hot as shit that day. Like it was so hot. Will is the best guy you'll ever meet. I don't know if you've met him.
I met him, side story, with my little guy, Wes, who's 12 now, but I met him when he first was at LSU, and he was at my son's school for something. And I'm barely 6'1".
Yeah.
And I just remember standing next to this guy, and I'm just like, jeez, but like a teddy bear.
Yes. He is the nicest guy in the world. Fun fact, when I first got to Baton Rouge and first started getting into the suiting business, Will Campbell was actually one of my first clients. And it came about through one of the LSU coaches that I was making clothes for.
Okay.
And it just kind of snowballed. And since then, I've been making suits for almost every single LSU player for the last 4 years. Will was one of the first that I did a deal with. And Will's thing kind of became, while he was at LSU, if you go back and look at videos and photos, two-toning, crazy paisley fabrics, crazy colors, double-breasted, double pleats, cuffs. I mean, he got
and turtlenecks.
Wild. Turtlenecks occasionally. Didn't matter how hot it was. He had a look he was going for. And we would pre-build 7 or 8 suits before the season began, and he would already have them lined up for every single home game.
For every game.
Yep.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't from Baton Rouge, there's a iconic moment, like a lot of universities, where it's the walk down.
Yep.
And look, the fit game there has gotten unreal. Like, I thought the NBA was wild, but the Louis Vuitton bags that these guys hold, I'm like, dude, I played like D2 basketball, and I was definitely wearing sweatpants and a sweatsuit. So touch on that a bit, because these athletes have identities outside. So for you to be so close to that, and you may not be able to share any more in depth, but what is that like? Is there a lot of personality that comes out that's like, hey, we're playing Alabama, this happened to me last year, let's get that button to be X?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, it depends on the athlete, but there's a lot of specifics that some of them will go through based on the game that they want to wear it to, which is super cool. They'll do it with their liners as well. They'll do little shout outs to either their family or specific events that happen in a game that you're referring to, without getting too specific on names and stuff. But I do think it's cool that in a world of NIL, just to touch on this, what I love is these athletes are used to just getting handed so much stuff these days, right? Like duffel bags full of cash. Most of the starters are millionaires at this point. There's not much that excites them from a product perspective. I might have the only thing that gets all of them excited, which is custom clothing. custom shirts, custom suits, and sport coats, and being able to design a look on that home game during walkout where they're on video and they get to feel confident before the biggest game of the year. And I freaking love that. And
I
they
didn't
get
think about
so
that.
excited when they build it too.
Yeah. Well, and again, it goes back to all the way down to the everyday businessman, lawyer,
Yep.
whomever it may be. It's that experience that you get to.
Yep.
I know personally, my wife, I was super young in my career, and my wife had a custom shirt made for me because we had no money back then. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna splurge on the custom shirt.
Yep.
And I'll never forget. Felt very uncomfortable because I was like, I don't belong here. But the experience itself, kind of like how you have laid out here, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the buttons that I selected on this shirt. I still have this shirt, even though I haven't worn it in forever.
Yeah.
It's that experience that I think that you guys provide that's so unique. So I feel uncomfortable wearing this jacket around you, even though it's a nice jacket.
You look great.
Like, look, hey guys, remember he just said the tone. So
you look great.
I feel it.
And we were kind of flipping through fabrics before we started, but one of the things we were going to do on here is let him build a Retta sport coat, one of the oldest fabric mills in the world, super high quality. I'm gonna let you pick out a blazer, and then we'll go through the build out on it just to kind of give the audience some perspective into what this fitting looks like.
Yeah, would love for you to kind of walk through it.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you select the mills themselves, and how do you go about this?
So as a franchise company, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is
Do I need to take this garbage jacket off yet?
We're gonna leave it on for
Not
a
yet.
second because I'm gonna ask you some questions on it when we start the process.
Perfect.
But one of the things that we pride ourselves on is being affordable. We don't have middlemen that we work with. We're direct partners with fabric mills and tailor shops around the world. And because of that, we're fast, we're a priority, and we have a lot of locations, which is a lot of volume, which helps everybody.
Sure.
So we select based on quality, obviously, options, inventory, to make sure that we're not constantly selling stuff and you going, sorry, we're out of stock on that. So there's a lot that goes into the partnerships that we set up. The other side of it is affordability. Like, can we bring on stuff in a lower range so that a kid that's just graduating college can afford to buy a suit and not break the bank and be able to look the part and go get this job that he's after? So all those things go into the mix. Delivery times, we want to be able to get it faster than anybody else. Our typical delivery times are like 3 weeks on average.
Okay.
I can rush them faster if I need to. But you got to have a special partnership in order to get those things done. I just laid out a few books. We have 10,000 fabrics to choose from. I didn't want to overwhelm you. This is an amazing Retta sport coat fabric. This entire collection right here. I saw you eyeballing a few of them earlier, but we were asking questions like, would you like to wear a solid, or are you looking for more of a pattern? And it seems like you're more of a pattern guy when it comes to a sport coat. So some of those right at the top, these Glen plaids are absolutely beautiful. We're here in Baton Rouge. We were talking about maybe having a little bit of purple in it for LSU. You obviously cannot go wrong with that. I feel like we're copping out going with the one on top.
Look, and for the record, we did go through these before, and I kind of felt bad that it was the first one that I saw was the favorite one. But
Don't feel bad, man.
Yeah, but the materials themselves, and again, going back to your point about being overwhelmed, I think the experience itself, and I'm assuming with your franchisees, clothiers.
Yeah,
That's such a cool word. I'm gonna start using that all the time. But that experience of being able to touch, feel, and then have it on your back and your shoulders that's massive. Yeah, again, not copying out here, but this one really pops and
love it.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna go with this one on top, beautiful Glen plaid. It's got a little purple in it, a little bit of blue, mostly brown tones as the base. The next thing we'll do is look at some liners.
You don't have a picture of me throwing the Heisman pose on stage or anything?
We'll just use AI and crop one and put you on the inside.
I'm gonna ask for your help because here I'm not a very matchy person. I do like to.
I'm not either, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think contrasting this inside, give it a little pop.
I'm not a paisley guy there.
Okay. So as you get to the middle, there's going to be more like solids, and then as you get to the back, there's going to be the crazy stuff.
Yeah. How about you? I'm gonna lean in on you.
All right. So we've got some things like.
Oh, look at that. That's wild.
International, nautical.
Huh.
Nautical. Crazy cartoon looking fabrics. Tropical. It's got a little purple in it.
Purple in it. That's cool. I do like to
You like
travel.
that one?
I did do the Kemosabe hat making.
Okay.
And that cartoon one kind of popped at me. That seems a little. That's great. Oh, how about that?
So some of these paisleys with a little pop of color to them.
A little yellow with the flower.
You like that one?
I don't know. Is that too much?
I don't think
Let's do
there's
it.
no such thing as too much.
Yeah, that's
The
fantastic.
good thing with the liner too is like, look, you can have some fun with it. Not everybody's gonna see it.
Yeah,
but
I'm not an NFL athlete that pops
They might get a glance
that
of
pops
it,
my inside of my,
But like
my jacket.
taking your jacket off is really the time that they're gonna
Sure.
see it. All right, so let's talk buttons. My advice on something like this with brown is staying within the brown family. Don't get too crazy on this. We got plenty of brown fabrics. The other thing that you could do is something with some marbling like that. That'll pop. But something like that would look amazing.
What's the far right one?
This one up here. It's a bamboo button.
Would that be too wild?
I don't think so, man. It'll kind of make it a little bit more casual.
Okay.
But it depends if you want more of a formal jacket look.
Let's see this. This is so fun, guys.
I think it's awesome. It's got brown in it. It's tan.
That's fantastic. Or you just go way over the top and do something.
So these are going to be more of like your country club blazers
Yeah.
that we usually do those for.
not a country club guy.
I actually think this one right here
Let's
is
do that.
freaking phenomenal.
All right.
You like that one?
Yep. FUP 43.
Okay.
Where do you source all the buttons?
All over the world. All over the world. Yeah. Some are horn. Yeah, we've got multiple locations that we source the buttons from. Okay. So next is going to be the style build out. So you're more familiar than most people with like double-breasted, single-breasted. Are you leaning? Do you own any double-breasted
I
blazers?
don't own any double-breasted. Can you rock double-breasted with jeans?
For sure. So double-breasted is usually more of a formal look.
Right.
I can wear double-breasted with like a chino.
Yeah.
You can wear it with a dark denim, but just know that double-breasted is typically more of a formal look.
Got it.
Your two-button is going to be more of a casual.
Sure. Okay.
So completely up to you.
Yeah, let's not do the double breast.
All right, let's save it for
I
a
am
different
going to come
one.
back and see for. I want this fit, just
All right.
different colors.
I got you.
Yeah.
So we'll do two-button. Calling him out to my assistant, so I'm not just yelling off camera.
Side note: my intern and Nathan's assistant are roommates, and this is how this all got hooked up. And I was blown away. I've heard that yours is phenomenal. Shout out to Ainsley who does all of our podcast social media. So
Thanks, guys. Y'all did great.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk lapels. So this is a peak lapel.
Yep.
What you have on is currently a notch lapel.
Yep.
I try to steer people towards a peak just
Okay.
because it's kind of a sign of custom.
Yep.
When you see peak, you know they didn't buy it off the rack.
Yep. Let's do it.
You want to do a peak?
Sure.
So let's do a peak lapel. Let's do it a little wider. He's got broad shoulders. So we'll put it at about a 4-inch lapel.
Thanks for that. Shout out.
We always do handmade buttonholes on
Okay.
our jackets and our suits. So this is hand stitched. We'll do a Milano handmade buttonhole. Do you want to contrast your buttonhole on this jacket? Maybe a purple, something that'll
let's-
pop?
Or like a little gold.
Gold.
Whatever you think.
Gold would be great. You want to do gold?
Yeah.
Let's do a gold buttonhole on the lapel, Kate.
By the way, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, and I've done some cool things in my life.
So let's talk pockets. So what I have on right here is called a patch pocket, where
Okay.
it's sewn on the outside.
Yep.
This is kind of getting more and more popular.
Yep.
You can
I
just
have a
throw
lot
your
of
stuff
those.
into
Yep.
it. Do you like the patch, or do you want to do what you have
No,
on?
actually, I prefer normally outside of this blazer that I've had for a moment. I normally pop them and fold them under.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So let's do an outside patch pocket without the flaps. And then what you have on is an inset. What I have on is a patch pocket on the chest.
okay.
You could do either one.
I kind of like the.
You like the patch?
Patch, yeah.
Let's do a patch on the chest.
Hey, can I get a shout out for this amazing
Pocket square?
Pocket square that I wore.
Dude, that's sick. That's super
It
cool.
doubles as a whiskey sour.
And kudos to you, dude. The colors look great with what you have on.
Again, sometimes
Fashion
I know
guy.
what I'm doing.
Fashion guy.
I'm not up to this guy's bar yet.
All of our jackets have hand-picked stitching on all the seams.
Amazing.
So it's
Love
another
that.
sign of custom.
Yep.
The other thing that I'll point out is, let me see your sleeves really quick. So are you familiar with functional sleeve buttons?
I've only heard of like the kissing buttons
Okay, kissing is where your buttons are all
on top
connected.
of each other. Yeah.
This is going to be what's called non-functional.
Yep.
The reason that retail stores typically have non-functional
Yep.
buttons, they snip the buttons off and they can extend or shorten
got it.
your
Makes
sleeve
sense. Yep.
to fit more people.
Oh, I see.
Functional is a holes cut in it. It's a sign of custom. That's why if you see people with it
Sure.
unbuttoned on the last one, they're showing off that it's custom. So a functional
Subtle
sleeve
flex.
button means I have to get your measurements right on your sleeve.
Okay.
And it's a sign of custom. So functional sleeve buttons on the jacket, hand-picked stitching, handmade buttonholes, and
I'll
then
remind myself to keep the last one unbuttoned. To flex.
when we deliver this thing in like 3 weeks, I'm gonna unbutton them for you so that you don't forget.
It'll be flexed, yeah.
Then lastly, let's talk vents. Double vents are kind of the modern
Yep.
fit. We'll do double vents, not a center vent. And we should be good to go, man. 4 buttons on the sleeve.
That works.
We picked your buttons. Monogram on the inside. Do you want initials, name, slogan, whatever you want to do?
Slogan. Huh. I'll let you surprise me.
Okay. We'll work on that later.
Yeah.
What color do you want the monogram? So it goes on the fabric, not on the liner. Do you want to do a gold
let's
to match
do
the
that.
buttonhole in the liner? Cool. We'll match that up. That's it, man.
I hope it's your face intertwined in there.
I'm going to do my face as the liner. I'm just going to repeat it.
That'd be fantastic.
Awesome. That's it, man. We'll
Yeah.
get this thing wrapped up, and then I need to grab a few measurements.
Yeah. We're going to do this live?
We're going to do it live,
All right.
aren't we?
This is a treat.
Leave that on just for a second.
Leave it on.
I'm going to take a look at a couple of things. Turn and face that bookshelf for me really quick. All right, so your point-to-point isn't actually bad. Do you like this no shoulder pad feel?
Yes.
Completely unconstructed? Okay. Turn and face that.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's just like unlined, unpadded.
Is this your first ever podcast live fitting?
First podcast, yes. I've been on the news a few times. 18.75 on the point-to-point. And then hold your arms down by your side for me and then turn and face this way. Do you like this sleeve length? Would you change anything?
I don't think so.
Is that shirt custom?
It is not.
So
I don't want to say brands and
the reason I
But
ask
no, but it's
is,
not. I know we need to give a little bit. I have freakishly long arms. I just ordered these. 3 of them are the right length where it shows.
that's all right. So look, here's why I
Trust
asked.
me, it annoys me.
Just relax. And then my advice is we shorten that sleeve a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's a hair long, and that'll get you, let me get you a custom shirt too.
I love that our producer is just dying over here laughing.
So this is a 25. I want to shorten it 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Let's do 24.75 on the right and the left. Let me just double check the other side. Turn around this way. There we go. You're good, man.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, this was so much fun. We'll wrap up here. I love what you're doing. For me, when we have guests on the podcast, it's all about finding people's journeys and their passions. And what an amazing story. And your dad has to be super proud of you, even though you're not an auctioneer, which I would debate that you could probably handle your own on some Catholic schools fish fries. But look, it's exciting to have you here. I love that it's a local person here in Baton Rouge that's expanded his roots well beyond 80 franchisees and growing. I love the good that you're doing and the impact that people don't realize that clothing has, not only from people that can afford this process, which also I want you to kind of end with that. You know, it's an intimidation factor for a lot of people, not just from me being kind of jokingly like, this is overwhelming, but I think people perceive custom suits with high dollar.
God, I love you bring that up.
Yeah. And let's kind of end with that because I think everyone should have accessibility and understand to not be nervous and don't go to the department store and buy blazers and suits.
Yeah. You don't have to. It's not necessary. So I don't think people understand how affordable it is, number one. Number two, how convenient it can be. Like the only thing we have in this life is our time. The one thing you can't get back. So like, why not have a clothier just come to you, save you time in between your meetings if you're a busy professional, measure you up and take care of your needs. If your button breaks, you text a clothier. They come and grab your jacket, they fix your button, they bring it back. Like there's so much time that we can save you. So one of I think the cool tie back in right now is you mentioned earlier, me driving a truck, a King Ranch, and my blue collar roots, my family's in the auction business, and now I'm this custom suit tailor. One of the things that I love about this business is how we bridge the gap between custom clothing and like blue collar America. And I don't think people understand how many people that are blue collar that we make clothes for. I think part of the reason is because how stuffy it is when people go to a custom suit tailor. They feel out of place, especially for your first time. You're going into this very uncomfortable environment where you feel like you're asking stupid questions. One of the things that we do is by coming to you, we eliminate that stuffy, uncomfortable environment. And you can just build this relationship with your clothier where they can ask questions and we can guide you along the way. But just because you're buying custom clothing doesn't mean you have to buy these crazy feminine looking clothes as a male. Blue collar, we have natural colors, tans, browns, blacks that they can wear with a pair of blue jeans and cowboy boots and go to the rodeo. We have plumbers that are clients of ours, and these aren't fashionistas. These are people that just they want to dress better for themselves. They want to dress better for their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we bridge that gap.
Yeah, for sure. And in a world of everything being automated and templated, what I hope happens to our society, we put our phones down, we get back to this like nostalgic conversation. And what you're doing is the conversation's happening. You're creating trends yourself, you the consumer, and it's not templated. You can walk out the door with confidence and show up at a restaurant, show up at a meeting, and you're not going to have the exact same suit on that everyone else. I'll leave you with this. My favorite thing in the world, walking down the street in New York City, is I don't own a black suit. I don't own a black blazer. So when you have the ability to shine and stand out in the world, you've already separated yourself from everyone else. And that's what you guys are doing. And look, this has been a overwhelmingly amazing treat for me, but more importantly, I'm beyond excited about what and how you're building out the brand itself and how you're giving back and helping, and not giving back in just like a, hey, I have to do this, but a sincere way of giving back to people to get them going back in life and feeling confident in themselves. So I'm very fortunate that we met. We got a new friendship here. You definitely have a new client. I won't be throwing any Heisman poses here, but definitely, we don't do this on the podcast, but definitely find Nathan Pearce and all the amazing things that you do. And you guys go anywhere.
Everywhere.
For our New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, across the globe. Check this guy out. He is an amazing man, and what you're doing is very powerful. So,
well, nominate if y'all know someone that has someone in need, does good things for the community, just someone that you think would be an awesome nominee for our For Good Measure campaign. Please go to our website, pearcebespoke.com, PEARCE, and nominate somebody. Tell their story, a little bit about them. Someone from my team will reach out, learn a little bit more, and then we'll probably get you to help us set up the surprise.
Let's do it. Well, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Digital and Dirt. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media for the latest updates, and stay tuned for our next episode.